Oh my God. It is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is the Mark Puttenvink show. I just am here as the host, but it's the
Yeah.
Mark Puttenvink show. How you doing, brother? How's your weekend?
Good. Yeah. No, it's my universe. Y'all just kind of chilling in it.
Oh, I'll tell you, we've been talking about stuff like since I've like constantly, and you're the same. We constantly trying to get better and better all the time. You do look back at yourself like a few years ago and you think, man, how did people hang around with me sometimes? Because, right? I mean, just
I'd have beat the crap out of myself. If I had me back, I'd be like, oh, yeah.
It's funny. I was telling a story the other day. My father was a big man, like 6'4", but really like I'm not making my like a hard working guy, but really not getting in fights or anything like that. We were playing ping pong. I was probably like 16 or 17. We're in the basement, and I was being cocky, like totally cocky. I was beating him, and I was saying smart ass stuff and everything. And he says to me, he was mad. And he never hit me ever. And he did this time. He goes, "One of these days, somebody's going to kick the crap out of you, and I can't wait to see it happen." Oh, that's funny.
That's a tough way to go, man.
Oh, I know. But yeah, my sons don't act. They're way more respectful than I was to my father. I that's the one thing. My father passed away about 10 years ago. I do look back and think, man, I should have been more.
Yeah, I never really got. So my dad was very different from me in a lot of ways, and in a good way. I mean, but he wasn't an athlete. He like sports didn't really interest him. He still coached me in Little League baseball and all that stuff. But if he never saw a game ever again, it wouldn't have bothered him.
Yeah.
Right. But we never really. So we never had an arena to get competitive in. But with Sean, my oldest son, Sean, and Ty, in a different way, we get competitive, or we have in the past. And I've gotten in the ring with Sean. I went, what am I doing this for? He's going to kill me. Because, he's a really talented boxer. I mean, extremely talented. Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
So what do you do? I mean, you got to punch each other, right? So you're punching each other in the head?
Well, we call it touch sparring, where you don't unload.
Oh.
But, I mean, it's still, you can get clipped. Yeah. And Sean's so good. He's so much bigger than I am. Like, you know. And then with Ty, it's a battle of the brains, and he always wins because he's a really smart kid. Yeah. I remember there's a movie Kick-Ass. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah, sure.
So I didn't know. I take Ty. He's probably 8 years old at the time. I go to see it, and after the film, I go, "Yeah, that was a good movie." He goes, yeah. I go, I didn't think it was. I thought it was a movie for kids. And he looks at me, and goes, "Never mind. He's 8 years old." He goes, "Dad, the name of the movie is Kick-Ass." I go, "Yeah, you got a good point there." So that was my sparring with Ty.
That's funny. So the great Larry Melnick has chimed in here. See, so I'd like to hang around with you. Okay. So there's limited, like I don't communicate with anybody else on WhatsApp. Yeah, Larry's the only one. So I have to have the app on there. I have to go to that. Yeah. You know what though? I should be saying that he's worth it, right? Larry Melnick is worth it to have.
I don't know him. I don't know him personally, but he seems to be a good man, and you ghosted him, and that's not right.
I know. Good point, buddy. All right. As soon as we're done the show, I'll get right on him right away. All right. Our buddy Ron Jameson is back. We haven't seen him very much. Ron's our veteran up in Buffalo.
Hey, Ron, was that Don Luce that you were with? I think it was, right? He went to a reunion, and I think I saw Don Luce there and a couple of the older. I know Jerry Korab.
Jerry Korab.
Yeah, King Korab.
Yeah, he's a big man. Yeah.
He finished up in LA too, right? Or he started
he did.
LA, or
yep, actually, I was out there and he'd come to a game. He'd retired, and I had a game where I blocked like 5 shots or something like that. And he was all fired up. We didn't really know each other. He came in the locker room after. He says, "Man, you blocked like 5, 6 shots, something like that." Yeah, I said I turned the puck over so many times I had to block the shots. Yeah. Yes, it was Don Luce and Korab. Ron says here. Luce is a good friend of his. That's good to know.
Okay. Yeah. Those were some great teams, man.
Yes.
And they had a little bit of everything. They had Luce, who was like a kind of a forecheck kind of defensive kind of guy. And then they had the goal scorers with Perot and the French Connection, Danny Gare. And it was an interesting team. It was a lot of fun to watch.
They're good. Yeah, I've told this before where I lived in Southern Ontario, we could get the Buffalo games all the time. So I watched Gilbert Perot. And hit that like the big bow-legged, and he's beating guys one-on-one. And that was the worst guy for me because I watched him so many times. When I finally got to play pro, when he started coming down on me, I went into panic mode. I just kept backing up. Sure. I think my butt ran into the goalie's head or something.
Part of it was probably like, I finally get to see the guy skate.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Do you remember Mike Bullard?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that guy was probably like a player like today's game. I mean, he had some really crazy hands. He could really do something. And I was talking to Phil Russell one time, and I said, "Yeah, that guy's got like 100 moves." He goes, "Yeah, he's got 101." Like in other words, he beats me with every one. Yeah,
that's funny. Let me see here. Tom accidentally fell down a balloon. No, that's happened. There's no question that happened. That
We
is the
call
one
it-
thing, like teaching young kids when they're playing hockey, whatever sport it is, right? That you are going to make mistakes. You're going to fall down. Like, don't try to play perfect because then you don't do as
Yeah.
much as you could do.
We-
Out there. Yeah.
Ron, we call that getting shot by the poison dart.
Sniper.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, is that funny? It's really funny to watch somebody else like fall down, just like randomly fall down. I saw. So we did the podcast, the full change podcast down in Philadelphia, Aston, Pennsylvania, at Brian Propp's event. So we had Eddie Hospodar, Mark Howe. We did the show with, and Kerry Fraser, the referee, was there too. Hair was still perfect. And he's gone through a battle with cancer. I forgot about that, but he's looked like he's doing well. He was funny because he was the referee. He's talking about falling down out in LA. And at the start of the game, Wayne and Gary Curry's on the other side, and Mark Messier, Paul Coffey is the Hall of Fame. I'm starting lineup. I'm on the starting lineup. Wayne wins the draw back to me. It's one of those times like the puck just like turned into a grenade and just like, and Gary Curry goes in and pick it up and goes down and score. Like this is the opening faceoff. Now, Kerry Fraser, we were dying to laugh about this. He didn't remember it, but it kind of the personality he had and the relationship I had with him. He stood there at center ice and intentionally would not drop the puck because as long as he didn't drop the puck and get the play going, people were all looking at me like you idiot. So he held it for a while. It wasn't that long, and I'm yelling at him, "Drop the effing puck! Drop it! Drop it!"
That's
yeah.
Yeah, he looks the same.
Yeah, looks really good. He really did. Yeah, like slimmed down and everything like that. The hair's a little grayer maybe, but other than that, and he's got it all coiffed perfectly too.
I was going to say, he's still got it perfectly coiffed.
Yeah, we had him put a headset on for the show. He did it, but I don't think he liked it too much because it must have. Yeah. So how was your weekend? What'd you do all weekend?
Nothing spectacular. I did some training and whatnot. I not tripped across, but I've been periodically listening to a guy on YouTube. I think I forwarded it. His name's Dr. Robert Sapolsky. Oh. He's Stanford. He's a neurobiologist, and you can go on YouTube and listen to his like hour and a half presentations and his labs, so to speak. And a lot of it's out of my realm and way over my head, but there's some really cool stuff. He was talking about testosterone, and what's surprising, some of the conclusions they're drawing are this. So let's say you have a marathon, right? And they did these studies to see if what raises your testosterone, especially when it comes to certain like physical events. So he posed the question: who do you think would have a higher testosterone response? A guy who wins the marathon or the guy who came in 73rd place?
Who would have the higher testosterone amount?
Yeah, post event.
Well, I'm going to say the guy that won, but I'm guessing it's not going to be him.
Yeah, me too. And it wasn't. And the reason is, this is how your brain really operates and how your body releases certain hormones. The guy who came in 73rd was just so pumped that he finished. And so elated that he finished. It jacked up his testosterone because it releases the dopamine and serotonin, and it all kind of comes into play. The guy who won even though he won, he was 3 minutes slower than his previous race, and he was mentally kind of like not depressed, but it affected him. So it was interesting because he said being aggressive absolutely raises your testosterone, and exercise, whether you're male or female, raises your testosterone level. Right. And a lot of people forget that testosterone is very important for women as well. There's got to be a balance between the estrogen and all the other hormones. But yeah, so it's pretty interesting. And so
how much, like just in general, not taking a specific study or scientific study, how much do you pay attention to or believe all that stuff? Do you tend to do additional research, like you read a study and then go do more? Right.
Yeah, I think especially now with the internet, you can find a study to back anything you want to believe.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But I mean, with a guy like that, it's from Stanford. He spends three months a year for like 30 years now, literally in Africa, studying orangutans and their hierarchy and how they process and how they communicate and everything like that for 30 years. Right. 3 months a year, he goes, I don't speak to anyone. I'm just in the wild. It's a pretty interesting guy. He's absolutely incredibly brilliant, but he makes it easy so that even you, a couple idiots like you and I, can understand what he's talking about.
Right. But it's like some of it too is, and yes, it's a scientific study, but there has to be a certain amount of opinion involved in that too, right? Like the scientist that's doing the study has an opinion.
You may have a predisposition to what you're trying to prove, and then find out it's not true or it is true, and then you correlate that to evidence. But yeah, I think especially when it comes to the brain, it's even as brilliant as he is and as accomplished and everything like that. And there's another woman I listen to who's similar. There's still a great mystery when it comes to the brain.
Right.
Turns out that the frontal cortex of your executive thinking is much more important than we realized in certain aspects of our life. But yeah, so if anybody gets a chance and you want the spelling, just message me and I'll let you know. But it's really pretty cool stuff.
Right. Where are you at? Did we discuss with the what's the infrared sauna? What do you think of it?
I don't know a lot about it, but I hear great things. And actually, this guy that does some work on my shoulder, he has a product it's a transdermal. It's like a little patch, and somehow it creates infrared within your body. It's totally safe. And what it does, when that happens, it increases stem cell production, and that may or may not.
Sorry to interrupt you there, but how do they know it really is like it's stem cell production?
I mean, they can do blood work. They can do biopsies of muscle tissue and things of that nature. And if you've never had a muscle biopsy taken, you haven't lived yet. That's a needle. It just sucks out.
It takes a muscle. Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of painful. But so to answer your question, that infrared, there seems to be some really. I mean, sauna. People don't understand that's really a healthy thing to do.
Right. I like the Finns, and we were at Chan Camp my second year in Finland, so they had all the saunas, and they had the big pond, cold pond, and we jump in the pond after.
When I was in Russia, they had in a hotel in Russia, they had like the pool and all that, but they also had like a half a dozen different saunas with different themes. Like some were like desert, and then there was one that was cold. Like you went in there, it was like 20 below zero, and then you go out if you want. You pull up the string in a bucket of ice water, just pour it on in.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Okay, here's a good question. How can I get rid of my winter belly during the summer?
Simple, brother. Calories in, calories out. So it's burning more calories than you consume. That's all it is. But you don't want to do it every day. So I always tell people, for argument's sake, let's say you're taking in 2,500 calories a day.
Right. Okay?
For 5 days a week, chop it down to 2,000 calories. So now 5 times 5, you just eliminated 2,500 calories.
Right.
On day 6 and 7, go back to 3,000 calories because you don't want to have trick your body going into starvation mode where it holds on to every calorie. And interesting enough, this kind of thought was it was research they did on the Pima Indians, which is a tribe out in, I believe, Nevada or somewhere out in New Mexico, and they were indigenous, still are indigenous people, and they had a stream, and their stream. Basically, all their diet was cactus-based and corn-based, right? So whatever fat they got, their body had what they determined was a fat-sparing gene. So it would hold on to that fat for dear life because they didn't have virtually almost zero fat in their diet. But you need fat to survive. It cushions, protects your organs. You need it for your brain can't function without certain fats and things of that nature. The federal government came in. They put them on a reservation. They did something else with the stream. They slapped up a couple of grocery stores, and in a short period of time, I think in 20 years, they went up to an 85% more clinical morbid obese rate in the community. And the thing is because they still had the fat sparing gene.
Oh, wow.
So
can you counteract that? Can you get rid of the fat?
Yeah, stop eating fat. Because I don't mean to be.
I know that.
But it's because it's in your genes now.
Right.
It probably could be eliminated with this new crap diet, but it would take centuries, right? Because they had been there. So, but going back to Ron, so if you can, and you may say, well, how do I determine my caloric intake? Just start reading the label. Go on the internet. You can put in like one sweet potato and the size.
Okay? Yeah, and I use that MyFitPal too. There's apps out there that help you with that stuff. Yeah. They're not exact. They can't be exact, but they.
Yeah, and again, it's just as long as you're using the same system, you're still correlating the same numbers.
Yeah.
So if you go 5 days, call it a yo-yo diet. So go 5 days, chop at 500 calories, go back up another 2 days, and then back down, and then like this.
So I think Ron's talking about a 6-pack of beer. But my question would be for you though, for a 6-pack, like getting a 6-pack in your abs, you don't necessarily have to be doing sit-ups, do you? Like they say it's, abs are built in the kitchen, right?
Part of it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it gets back to your caloric intake. So your abs are there; they're just covered by a layer. We'll be kind, adipose tissue.
What do we call it? Adipose tissue?
Yeah, that's fat. That's the medical term for it.
Adipose tissue. Okay.
Yeah.
So instead of saying somebody's fat, you can say, "Listen, you have a lot of adipose tissue."
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a kinder way of saying it.
Yeah. That's
And
you know what?
so,
You were a fountain of knowledge. I'll tell you that.
found
Fountain.
something.
No, no.
But anyway,
Calories and proper sleep. Otherwise, you burn muscle and retain fat.
absolutely. Yeah. The sleep, you're releasing GH, which is a fat burner, and it controls so many different hormonal reactions.
Right.
Brendan's right on point again. Yeah. If you don't sleep,
my personal sleep expert right there.
yeah. If you don't sleep, you're gonna get fat.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then again, I'm not doubting Brendan. I'm not doubting you, but how do they know that? Like,
well,
how do you-
they've done studies, and look, if you know what happens physiologically while you're sleeping with the GH release and everything like that.
GH
there's also
growth hormone. GH growth hormone.
Yeah, growth hormone. IGF-1. There's all kinds of hormonal things that are occurring when you're sleeping. Not to mention when you're clearing out your computer upstairs. So it's really vitally important. And let's face it, when you don't get enough sleep, what are you going to reach for energy? Something sugary, right? I mean, down south, it's not uncommon. Like Dr. Pepper, they'll drink that instead of coffee in the morning. I have a good friend of mine in Dallas. She'll have 2 cans of Diet Coke for breakfast.
Oh, I know. Why?
And I've told her how bad it is. But it's because they're caffeinated drinks. And for whatever reason down south, maybe because it's hot there so much, they'd rather have a cool drink than a hot drink in the morning. Right. I don't know. Right. But, the sweet tea, which is just tea with about a pound of sugar in it.
Yeah. So Brendan brings up a good point here. The girl, a really nice girl I was on Survivor with, Elaine, she lives in Kentucky. Mountain Dew every day.
Oh, Brendan, man. as you know, Mountain Dew's got like about 7 cups of coffee in it. It's so caffeinated. Oh. And all those drinks are really hard on your body after a while. It's just too much. Caffeine is good for you, but
right. It's the education thing too, right? Like just being educated about what you're putting in your body and what's it doing to you. And once you get educated, you know what that food's doing to you. Then it's like hot dogs, like hot dogs. Like that's an epidemic there. That's something.
Well, there was, again, I keep citing studies, but it's true that there was a study years ago that children who ate, and it's a lot of hot dogs, but children who ate 9 on average hot dogs or more a week had an incredibly higher rate of leukemia.
Oh, is it leukemia? Wow.
Yeah. So what's in what's in all these processed meats, whether it's hot dogs or salami or whatever you buy over the deli, if they have sodium nitrates, they convert in your body to nitrosamines, which are carcinogenic.
Oh, you're showing off. You're showing off now. Yeah. Where are you? You're just making up these words. What are you talking about?
But they're cancer causing. Yeah. So really? Yeah. So if you're gonna eat deli meats, make sure it'll say nitrate free. I have some in here, some turkey. It says right on the label, nitrate free, because then they won't convert to those nitrosamines, which are really poisonous.
Well, very cool. Besides salt intake or intact, besides salt intact, best way to reduce blood pressure.
Well, yeah, you want to cut back on sodium, Ron. Exercise.
Yeah.
Caloric restriction. And again, Tom and I were talking about this last week. Start off with a walk, even if it's for a half mile. Quarter mile, and just keep building it up.
Get out in the sun in the morning or the sun at night. Oh, I think that's so healthy for you, man. Like mentally healthy for you too, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure you're the same way. I'm at the point now when I get up in the morning, I'm switched on. I got to do something. I got to shadow box. I got to go for a hike or something. Because, and then it's done.
Yeah. So and you get yourself going too, like all the what is it? Endorphins and all that.
Endorphins. Yeah. Well, in particular, dopamine and serotonin. There's nights, I'm not lying, Tom. I go to bed, I can't wait tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I can't wait. I can't wait to work out tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Well, I've gotten, again, we talked before, I went through probably like January, February. My workouts were slipping a little bit. There's no sun out. I wasn't feeling energetic. My diet had slipped back a little bit. And it's interesting how in life, so now it's brighter out and everything. But again, I mentioned that guy made that video where he was talking about at 65 years old, your body stops working. Oh my God. It's like, now I get in the gym and I remind myself of that every day. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Gordie Howe at a 35 goals year, 52 years of age, something like that.
It's interesting talking to the Mark Howe, who we did podcast with. Great guy too. Like he was talking about his father, and he played with him in the WHA when he first got started.
Houston. Down in Houston with his brother Marty.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer, Mark Howe.
Yep. Totally. Good guy. It's funny. Circadian rhythms. We were
talking about that last week. Yeah. So as to Brendan's referring as your circadian rhythm, and I tell you, we get sleepy when the sun goes down. We rise with the sun, and that's part of the circadian rhythm. It's an internal clock.
That's why I mentioned it. Okay.
And then you need that sleep, and again, it's to If you think of sleep, I mean, they're not sure why we sleep, but a big part of it obviously is to cleanse out a lot of stuff physically and mentally. It clears up a lot of clutter in your brain. And that's why, to Brent's point, if you don't get at least 7 hours of sleep, correct me if I'm wrong, Brendan, but when you wake up, you're about almost legally drunk. I think it's 0.05.
Wow. Interesting. Let me see here. Barry's got a question here for us. Barry Shelley, how are you? You magical creature. As far as sodium, what has more, regular salt or sea salt? All we use here is sea salt. Is there a difference?
No. Well, no, not really. It's sodium. I mean, the sea salt is healthier because it's got minerals. We don't use table sugar here.
Table salt.
Except for the fact that here is the difference. Sea salt does not have iodine.
Oh.
And you do need iodine. So every once in a while, it's okay to use regular salt.
Oh, so you need the iodine in there. Okay.
You do need it. Yeah. And sea salt does not have iodine. Iodine, if I'm correct, is in the processing of the table salt.
So I try to replace salt. I use capers a lot. Is the sodium in capers? Is it still sodium? It doesn't really matter.
I don't know what the percentages are, but obviously it's healthier. I mean, capers are great.
Right. Yeah. And there's what I found too. There's different levels of sodium. Like at Costco, I buy those, and it's got a lower sodium count in there too. Like you said, you can rinse them off to get a lot of.
But like we were talking about too. You see something that looks good. It says organic, right?
Yeah, I know.
And it's, oh wow, I love those chicken dumplings or whatever it is. And you flip it over, it's like, 1750 sodium. Like,
oh God. Like I love those little like dumplings and everything. Like you get, but then you look at the sodium level of this box, like 21%. Like
well, that's why. And remember, I'm gonna show my age. When you go into a bar years ago, they'd have free peanuts and all salty snacks up on it. Yeah, because you're gonna drink a lot then.
Yeah, no kidding. I fell for that one many times. Yeah, absolutely.
Still do.
Yeah. So your diet's pretty clean now, then, right? Too. So you don't have like processed foods or meats and all that stuff.
No, zero.
Yeah.
Unless I'm, forced into a situation where we're in a restaurant or something, but and even that's not really processed per se.
Yeah.
But no processed food. No.
I know. I've looked at my refrigerator now. Actually, my kids came over, looked at the refrigerator. They go, "Dad, there's not much in there that's bad. You really changed your life around." And it's so much better, right? And they prepare foods. I've gotten in the habit of making like a pork tenderloin now, which is a really lean, source of protein. So you got to throw it in the air fryer, and it's done in 20 minutes, and slice it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's like I said. I got the Dutch oven. I pop a chicken in there with some vegetables, put it in there for an hour and a half, and I got a tremendous dinner.
Right.
Then there's other nights, like last night, I was kind of in a rush, so I had some organic chicken cutlet. I made that. I made some rice. I made some vegetables, kind of Asian style.
Where are you on rice? Are you okay with white rice, brown rice?
Yeah,
I was reading an article about
brown rice. If you want to get sick, eat brown rice, man.
Oh, really?
It's got the husk on it. Yeah, it's got a lot of arsenic in it.
Oh, so white rice. You just had plain white rice.
Absolutely.
Oh, cool.
Absolutely. Don't.
What does it turn into though? Does it turn into fat?
No, it's not a fat thing. The brown rice still has a husk on it. So if you have any kind of digestive issues, in particular like diverticulitis, which I don't have, but it still has a husk on it. So it's really hard to process.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But as far as like fat content and stuff like that, there's no difference.
There's no fat in rice at all. It's a grain.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always thought that rice was kind of a negative thing in your diet.
No, I think where people might get a little confused, it's a starchy carbohydrate.
Okay.
And your body. So again, it gets back to that whole: how does your body process the carbohydrate you're consuming?
Right.
And some will burn faster than others. Starchy carbohydrates is more of a longer. I'm trying to remember now if it's higher on the glycemic, but it's a higher glycemic, so it's going to replenish your glucose faster. And this is one of the things about alcohol consumption. Mm-hmm. One drink not going to affect you. 2 drinks maybe, but you go past 2 drinks, you're actually putting yourself into a hypoglycemic, which means you're not producing any insulin. So you will store that rest of that alcohol as fat.
Oh,
because you have no way to transport it to the cell.
Right.
So the body just assumes we need to store this as fat.
Gotcha. All right, here we go. We're going to help Ira here. Ira's, to his credit, his doctor has warned him he needs to get on a diet, lose some weight, laying down. Hey, Studs, you're right so far. Good start there. Hey, Studs. Finding it hard to find stuff to eat. Shocked how much I eat carb eater. miss my Slurpee and hot chocolate.
Mhm.
But you know what I think too, Ira? It's not just being like disciplined with your diet; it's a whole lifestyle too, right? It's a more of a discipline thing. So your thought process there that you're talking about missing a Slurpee, you're missing the hot chocolate. I know maybe you're joking around a little bit too, but for other people or not, it's for me to just be disciplined with my diet. It's more. It's not that you can't do it, but it's harder to do. I think have that whole disciplined lifestyle where you're getting up at a certain time in the morning. You've got your process. So now your diet just falls into that. And don't even, for me, it's not even worrying about the weight necessarily. That weight will come off when you have that healthy lifestyle. Right?
So I think, Tom, also here's a great opportunity. So that Slurpee and the chocolate might be the 500 calories we can delete for 5 days and then plug it back in for 2. So you're not totally missing it.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
way
Because
to
you
think
don't
about
want your,
it.
you can't go from 0 to 100. Like the level we're at now, we didn't just get there. We worked at that over years and years and years. So, he's lost 6 pounds too. Ira, good job. So what
It's
are you?
stuff,
Good job
man.
by you. Yeah.
Yeah.
My only suggestion though, and listen, I'm happy that you lost the 6 pounds, but again, I wouldn't be jumping on the scale every day. That to me, that's like if you have a bad day, then you say I've worked so hard to lose weight and now I didn't lose. Maybe you drank more water or whatever it is. Yeah.
So here's the thing too, and it's so important to do resistance work. And by resistance work, I mean weight training, because we do know that muscle is very, very active metabolically. So the more muscle you have, the more calories you'll burn. Where fat is just that. Body fat is a blob. It has no metabolic activity at all. However, requires a lot of blood supply. That's why if you put on a lot of body fat, your blood pressure goes up tremendously. Because the fat requires a lot of blood supply. Metabolically, it's dead. It doesn't do anything. It's not burning 1 calorie. So we can start to shift the body composition where a little bit more muscle mass. And you're not gonna. I'm not talking about muscle mass where you look like Arnold, but where you just do add some muscle and reduce that body fat level, you're going to see tremendous results.
Right, definitely. Get up earlier, go to the gym. You don't have to be at the gym at like for an hour and a half either.
Yeah.
You'll go there, you have a program, be there for 45 minutes. Get out of there. If you can't get to the gym, like you said, walk upstairs, up downstairs. There's lots of things.
You hit on it. You have to have a program. You have to have a predetermination of what you're doing. If you don't, then hire a trainer.
Yeah.
Find yourself a qualified trainer. But also keep a journal. Keep a journal, man. I mean, I write everything down. And if, like during COVID, I had some goals I wanted to hit and I got them in. But I charted. And also what I did, Tom, was so I had 3 columns. I had the date, the time that I trained, what my body weight was, and what I did. And then I had
you would weigh in every day?
Every day.
Okay.
Only because I'm I'm crazy. But it was also, it was kind of not an experiment, but it was like I was researching myself.
Yeah, but again, the difference with you is you've done this long. Somebody's starting off, like to get on that scale and just rely on the number on the scale. I just think it's
no. So to your point, it's a number is not going to be indicative of your body fat percentage. You can be 200 pounds at 18% body fat, or you can be 200 pounds at 12. Well, obviously you want to be the 12%. But here's one thing I also charted, Tom. Really, really important. I think people need to know this. I would write down my mood.
Your mood? Oh.
Absolutely. Because we are so connected. There's such a strong conduit between food and emotion.
Yeah.
And it's not our fault, but we're raised that you're a little kid, you did something good, you get candy. Well,
yeah, it's true.
There's a reward, right? What do we always say? I'm going to reward myself tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in our lexicon,
Our lexicon. Will you stop? Did you like memorize a bunch of big words before the show or what? Lexicon.
That's a car made over in Japan, actually.
Lexicon. Oh,
but anyway.
I joined the gym and have more energy. My blood pressure is actually low now, so we'll discuss. I'll just see. Right. So get out and listen. I don't want to be advising anybody, but as much as you can get off those meds and get on natural foods and everything. But again, if the doctor tells you have to take them. But as soon as you get off them, better. Yeah.
And it's probably a good idea to ask the doctor, hey, what's my goal? Where do I need to be with my BP, my cholesterol, my lipids, so that we can start cutting down the meds. Yeah. So you set yourself goals, but chart everything you do.
Yeah. Like I said, even those apps, like I can put all my exercises in that my FitPal, so I've got a record of all that too. So yeah, I agree totally. I've been trying to reach my 1,000 calorie goal. I burn 1,000 calories by 7 in the morning every day.
Okay.
So usually, and again, the app, you don't know if it's perfect, but I find if I get 8 different exercises in, I can usually get to like around 800 calories, and then
Yeah.
walking, I burn off another 200. So
Yeah, there's a ton of ways to skin a cat when it comes to caloric expenditure. What you're doing is tremendous, like because you're probably in an anaerobic state pretty much all that
Yep.
period of time, and that's why you're able to burn that amount of calories in a
Right.
pretty compressed time.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were just to go for a walk or a run,
Yeah.
you'd probably have to burn that amount of calories. It'd probably be a 2.5 hour kind of event.
Right.
Right.
You know what I found? I felt like when I was walking during the pandemic, I was trying to, because the gyms were closed, I was walking more, like getting 10 miles in. I felt like I was burning more muscle. Is that possible that you start burning muscle at some point?
No, well, no. I mean, before we convert over to muscle, we have to burn up all the available sugar and fat.
Right.
And then you start to get into where you're looking at like really, it's pretty extreme to get to that point.
Right.
So maybe someone who is a marathon, an elite world-class marathon runner, you'll see them. They have no muscle mass at all. They're
Right.
they're a lung. They're set of lungs with legs, because they burn so many calories. They can't take ever possibly enough calories in
Right.
to maintain any muscle mass. Right.
Right.
What
would they eat? What would they eat before a big marathon?
Well, my cousin by marriage, Jimmy, he's from Ireland. He was a really competitive marathoner. I mean, he's nationally ranked. Huge amount of carbohydrates the night before the event. I mean, pasta, potatoes, everything.
So night before.
Yeah, they want to wash their body with cells full of glycogen and glucose, so that they have that available to burn. Yeah.
And then nothing in the morning. Let's say the race is 1 o'clock. They wouldn't eat anything in the morning.
That part I don't know, because I'm not in that world, but I would imagine they have something, obviously.
Right.
You know, but in hydration.
Right. You know, it's funny. And I agree with that science, that the pasta and everything to get in you. But you think back to the days like with Bobby Orr when he played, arguably one of the best players that's ever played the game, is steak every day, right? Before the game. Right. So it isn't what he should have been eating, but he still survived. Right. So maybe, I guess the question is then, could he have been better? Right. Is that?
So I think there's a certain subset of people that are so skilled and so talented. It's whatever they do. And I also think it has a lot to do with age, because obviously we know we can't do what we did in our 20s. I don't think he would have been a better player.
Right.
You know, that
give that more energy, or
it wouldn't show on the ice. I think it might just affect maybe his recovery if he's an injured player. But I think in today's world, since we do know about it, you'd be foolish not to eat correct. I mean, look, your body's a machine, and if you're making your money with your body, if your body is where you make millions of dollars, you want to make sure you look at Tom Brady's taking it to another level. But I mean, there's something to that for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
What
about it's like we always talk to. It's what they know, right? At that time, they didn't know any different. So Tom sent me to Costco with a shopping list. I noticed all these. It's keto. He meant to say, is this real or just a fad? So keto, would we call it a fad? I mean, keto always hasn't been around, right?
No. Well, I mean, it's existed, but it's very popular recently. I guess the first keto guy was Dr. Atkins, and they remember they'd have the commercial. Hey, you can eat this big steak and all these eggs, and,
right?
You know, so ketones are a byproduct of eliminating carbohydrates from your body. And the thinking is, then the only thing you have left for energy source is body fat, and it will work. I don't know.
But you have to be very specific with your diet, right? Like you can't cheat on that, right?
It's basically no carbohydrate at all.
Right.
A lot of animal fats, a lot of dairy, but the keto. I just don't like products. I don't like, just buy food. Do you know what I'm saying, Tom?
Yeah, I know.
So it is. So the bag is keto, but also so is the steak.
Yeah.
So is the chicken breast.
Right.
This is what I look at.
Is it panca flour or panca? What am I thinking about? Pinto flour. So they sell stuff at Costco where they have like fish or chicken coated. It's bread in
panko. It's a
panko.
It's a crumb, and you can get gluten-free panko crumbs. You can get regular panko crumbs. It's really just another form of breadcrumb. It's I think it's Japanese in nature. It's a different kind of flake. It's like when you get tempura, right? You know, like shrimp tempura. So that's what the batter's made out of, a panko batter. Yeah.
Good. Oh, I might make some sushi. I haven't made sushi in a long time. Do you like sushi?
I love it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had it Friday night.
Oh, did you? I did not get my invite. I didn't get my invite.
I left.
Did you make? Did you make it? He's locked the door. Did you make it, or you bought it?
I bought it. So yeah. So I work pretty late. Not pretty late, but until 7 on Thursday night teaching, and then I pre-order it and I pick it up at the restaurant.
What'd you get?
Just set up your basic California roll and shrimp tempura roll.
Okay. Do you ever just have the just the raw fish itself, like just salmon or tuna?
Years ago, yeah, that's
Yeah.
sashimi or sashimi.
Yeah,
is
what's it?
another name.
Yeah. Yeah. There's the roll is called something like that. I can't remember.
Well, a little leery about that, but and truth of the matter is, California roll and shrimp tempura roll really are not legitimate sushi. It's Americanized sushi.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, I go to that store, H Mart. Oh, you buy the oh man, that tuna and that tuna salmon that you get there just melts in your mouth too. Oh man. This is H Mart. You ever been to H Mart?
No, but here's the problem. Like, so when you get California rolls, they make it really tuna. It's another level. Most of them use that not fake, but the processed white.
Yeah, it's all. I didn't know what that was before. So it's all different types of fish, but it's not really crab meat. It's fake crab meat. Yeah, but it's not. But it's not like having a hot dog. It's just
no. It's not awful, but you will notice a big difference. Like
if you get real crab.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, totally.
Real tuna.
Yeah. Oh, the real tuna. Oh man, that's the thing about making your own tuna. I didn't realize they put sugar and salt in the rice, but I just take it out of there, and you don't really notice the difference. Yeah.
It's I get the taste. I mean, they use vinegar as well.
Right. Yeah, rice wine vinegar. That's fine. You know, I went and bought so they give you powdered wasabi that you add water to. Oh, I didn't realize how hot it was. Oh my God. My poor son's girlfriend, Val, came over one time and stuck her nose in, I just made it and I had a little dish. So she wanted to smell it. And it was just that thing where her eyes were watering for like 10 minutes.
Years ago, I worked with this guy and his mom was from Poland and she grew these peppers, right? So we're in the office one day. He said, here, and Tom, I swear to God, I bit but you couldn't even see what I ate.
Yeah. Is that right?
I wanted to die. That's how hot my mouth was.
Here's a question here. Canned tuna's fine. Just don't get the oil one. Get the water. Right?
Yeah. Well, you get the oil if it's olive oil. And maybe a good way to get some olive oil in you. And get the naturally sourced.
Naturally sourced tuna?
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but not that much more. And it's a better grade of tuna for sure.
Right. Yeah. So tuna's good for you. The canned tuna is excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Just be careful not to live on it because you can consume too much mercury and turn into a thermometer pretty much.
Oh.
With all fish, because
oh, that's true too. Yeah. Yeah. There's a fish I got too that somebody was saying that feeds off the bottom, and was it halibut or something? Can't remember what it was.
Like catfish and stuff, they're all bottom feeders. Right. Some people won't eat fish because they kind of against eating an animal that lives in its own bathroom. I kind of get that, but.
Or after I had to poop in the ocean there in Survivor, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, where does all that go? I mean, it like all the poop and everything. Like, yeah, there's animals in there pooping.
It's a big ocean.
It's a big ocean. It doesn't. You wonder, like, I won't get into it there. That's kind of gross.
Speaking of big ocean, Jim Gordon and what was the other guy's name?
Bill Chadwick.
Yeah. So they're out in L.A. and I'm sure you know by the third period they were like pretty deep pretty deep into the Schaefer, like the big, right? And
that's hilarious that they used to drink during the game. Like that's funny.
So Gene Carr scores for LA,
right?
And Jim he says to the big whistle, he says, "Hey, I thought when he played here, you said that guy couldn't hit the ocean from the end of a pier." He said, "Yeah, but it's a bigger ocean out here."
All right, Barry Shelley's trout fishing. Trout season's here. Yes, I can't wait to have some fresh trout.
Oh man, I buy that, Barry. I get the iron skillet out, and Tom, it takes like less than 4 minutes to cook.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, you season it. You put it skin. What you do there is you get some almond. Down. Yeah, but first you got to dredge it just really lightly in some almond
oil,
almond flour. Just kind of dredge it. First you pat it down, get a little moisture, a little almond flour, season it in the skillet, skin side down. Oh,
wow.
Man,
you know what I always wonder about almond milk? Like, who milks those almonds? Like, how do you?
I want to know the first dude that walked up to a cow and said, "I'm going to try some of that."
I know. Isn't that true? So I guess they saw the calf. It must have been the calf was feeding. Yeah. And they said, "Geez, I'm going to join in on that too." But they wouldn't go. Oh, I wonder if he went up there and like put his mouth on there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Somebody had to.
Oh man, that milk was good. I only drank unpasteurized milk for the first 15 years of my life. Only unpasteurized raw milk. Oh my God.
Well, in New Jersey, I don't know how it is in Connecticut, but the only raw food you can buy are two things: raw cheese and raw milk.
Oh.
And to buy it, you have to have a special purchasing thing, because there's a religious community that'll only drink raw milk for whatever reason.
Yeah,
And
someone was talking about how raw milk is like it's coming back now. Everybody wants to drink raw milk.
Yeah, my
So
dad
what
grew
is
up
there?
on it.
You see, and obviously they're regulating that because the dairies want to make money instead of just buying
Yeah,
it directly.
there's a lot of pretty negative. I know we're going back to research on milk for men in particular. This was over a 30-year study in China that they found that prostate cancer was through the roof with people that drank milk as opposed to people who did not drink.
Oh, really? Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's why that doctor gave me a prostate biopsy, and that was pleasant.
Yeah, that didn't have that, but hope they never do.
It's so funny. I think I probably told this, but the guy, the guy that was doing, what do they call him, the urologist, is a buddy of mine. Actually, I coached his son. So he said, "Tom, you need to come in for a prostate exam." So we're sitting there, where he's a Ranger fan. We're sitting there talking about hockey and a whole bit. And he says, "Okay, up on the table, pull your pants down." I guess I didn't think through the process, but
yeah, lay on your side.
God.
Yeah.
Oh God!
And you try to hold a conversation while it's all going. Yeah, did you see? By the way,
yeah, exactly.
You know,
so I see him at games now, and I make sure, hey, guys, I say, don't shake hands with this guy. He's my urologist. Right? Embarrassed him totally. All right, it's great to see you again, brother. Covered a lot of topics today. Covered some prostate exams and raw milk, and okay, good job. All right, brother. Good to see you. We'll see you next week.